Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun little teacher gift, teacher notebook for back to school time. I think this would be a really darling gift to give a teacher because it's great. You've got a little spot for your pen or pencil. You've got a pad of paper, which I'm going to show you how to make this pad because I did show how to make notepads in my watercolor block video, but I figure a lot of card makers wouldn't have watched that because it was more of a painting video. But it makes a really easy to remove pad of paper, and it's great because you can use up your scraps for this as well. This video is brought to you by Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com, and they have a special for you this week. If you use a coupon code TEACHER, you will get this stamp for free when you spend $25 or more, and they have so many wonderful sets. We're going to use stamps from a couple different sets today because they're so versatile. They go with each other very well, and I'm going to show you how to make this project so you can whip up a bunch of these for yourself, your friends, or most importantly, your children's teachers, because they do an awful lot for our kids, and it's nice to show them how much we appreciate them. So first thing we're going to do is grab some paper, and what I did was I took regular photocopy paper, just the inexpensive stuff you use in your home printers or photocopiers, and I trimmed it to, I just took a stack of it in my big guillotine cutter and chopped it into 3.5 inch wide strips. So it's 3.5 inch wide by 8.5 inches. So you get 3 from each sheet of paper. So it's pretty economical. And then I'm just using some clothespins to clip this together. Just try to put them together as evenly as you can. In fact, I'm going to readjust these just because I feel like the end should be really even. Sometimes the sides aren't, just because your paper cutter might have a little, might not be exactly perfect. Mine's a little off sometimes, so we're just going to clip that up towards the top. And then to make our pad, we're just going to put a bead of hot glue along here. I want to have a fairly generous bead. Don't worry about it being messy because we're going to take a silicone spatula, and you can use one from your kitchen. It's really not going to hurt anything. And just smooth it over. You just want to make sure that it catches the edge of each sheet of paper. And if you get your top sheet messy, don't worry because you can just tear that sheet off before you use it. There we go. See? And I mean, the spatula is nice because it just keeps it neat. You can also just take a piece of cardboard and throw it away when you're done, and that would work too. And then I'm just going to set this aside to cool. I have also cut a piece of chipboard. This is just from the back of a notepad. I save the backs of notebooks and notepads and paper packs and stuff for this purpose. So these are going to be, we're going to set these aside and get back to them in a minute. Now I'm using a scrap of cardstock, and we're going to stamp our motif. And I thought with back to school time, an apple would be perfect. Now you want to start off with a branch, and this one is from the Brambly Rose set. I'm having a hard time talking today. And this one is from Bittersweet, and I know there are several peg stamp sets that have branches in them. So if you already have a collection of peg stamps, look around and see what you have. Then I'm going to use brown ink, and this is just Ranger Archival. You can use whatever brown ink you like, and I'm just going to show you a couple different options here. This is my favorite branch just because it has so many little pieces coming off of it that you could attach leaves to. So if I'm using something smaller like this, what I want to do is actually stamp it a couple times next to each other and use your registration mark to kind of help you line up your branch, because see how the end of the branch goes right to the edge of the rubber, and then that line lines up with it. It makes it really easy to, you know, line it up. I went a little off, but it makes it pretty easy. So you can make a little border or branch that way too. This would also be a fun way to make a border around the border of a card or something like that if you wanted to do another apple themed item. So now I'm going to use this apple stamp, which is the freebie that they have for your purchase of over $25 at pegstamps.com, and I am going to stamp this first in my my brighter ink. This is Ladybug by Memento, and then I'm going to just kind of rock the dark edge into rhubarb stock, and that's going to give me a little extra shadow. And I'm going to stamp that to, let's see, I think I'll put it here on that branch. And we're going to put leaves in. I like to do the apple first because it's bigger and it's easier to adjust our leaves around. We'll put this one over here on that branch. And now we are going to put the red ink away and stamp some leaves. And I like to do the two-tone stamping because it doesn't really take a lot more work, but I think it gives you a much nicer look. So let's get those uncovered. And this little leaf came with the same set that the apple was from, but again, look through your stamp sets. There's different fruit in different sets. Feel free to adapt this idea to the supplies that you have. It would be really pretty with flowers too, I think. So I'm going to go in with a lighter ink, which is Pear Tart, and then I'm going to just get a little bit of the edge in the bamboo leaves. And again, look at your registration mark, because that'll tell you where the stem of the leaf is coming out. So it makes it really easy to line that right up on the apple. So you can kind of work back and forth between the two if you want to, or you can finish up one at once. And I like to turn my stamp as I go, because it just makes it look a lot more natural. You could even alternate and do some darker colors. I like it with this branch. You'll notice you can make your leaves go in a lot of different directions and it still looks very natural. The thing I've noticed with the other branch, since all the branches are kind of pointing one way, you'll want to kind of have your leaves look like they're coming off of those branches, and I'll explain that in a second when we get over there. So let's just get a couple more branches onto this tree, and I think that's really pretty. So I think that's probably enough on that one. So let's go over here and I'll show you what I mean about our branches. So we want to kind of connect our leaves to a branch to make it look natural. If I have one of these going like that way, it's going to look weird because our branches are clearly pointing in this direction. And again, you could like move it over a little bit. You don't want them all lined up perfectly, but you don't want to have it like, and I'll show you over here because we'll be punching that, so I'll show you kind of the wrong way to do it in just a second here. Let me get that guy lined up there. That's a little too matchy-matchy, so I think I'll put one right there and kind of mix it up a little bit. We got to do one more in here because it looks a little strange. There we go. So what I'm talking about, what not to do with this, would be you don't want to have your leaf kind of going like that, because it doesn't, the way your branches are kind of coming out this way, it looks weird to have the leaves going that way. See what I mean? It just doesn't look, if that's going on that branch, it wouldn't be coming that way. It would be kind of having a little bit more of a gentle motion off of the branch. So then I was looking through my punches. I don't have a ton of punches, but I do have some basic shapes, and I have a round one, and I also have an oval scalloped punch, and these are some really versatile shapes. And so what I want to do is punch these out so that I'll have them ready for my little booklet. And one thing you'll notice when you're doing your punches, and I'll show you right here, sometimes you need to trim down a little bit closer because it's a little bit, you can't get your punch down deep enough. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go in and trim everything a little bit closer like that. And because I like to kind of stamp in the middle of my paper a little bit more, because so I don't run off the edge. You can always trim it off, but you can't put extra paper back if you need it. So now I might have trimmed that a little bit too much, but I'm just going to punch that like that. And then I'm going to do the oval one kind of like this. You don't have to have these punches. I just think, you know, you can look at what you have for dies, look at what you have for punches, and see what is best for you. We'll see what works with what you have. And I like it because everybody's is unique if we're all using kind of slightly different supplies. And again, this is, people ask me about this all the time. I took a cosmetic sponge, those little makeup wedges from the Dollar Tree, and I took a bottle cap and I put hot glue in the bottle cap. I squeezed the ends of the makeup sponge together and shoved it into the hot glue, and these made just perfect little sponges for inking like small edges. Like, especially if I don't want to have the whole thing color, like a color duster would dust the whole thing. I just want a little kind of darker edge on this. I'm going to do that here. And just to make the, now I have had this one for a couple of years, and I can see now it's starting to shed a little bit. That's the first time that's happened. So I will probably need to replace this one, but hey, it's just a makeup sponge in a bottle cap, guys. Not a big expense. They're like, makeup sponges are like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't know, for $1 at the Dollar Tree, so not bad at all. Okay, so now what we're going to do is assemble our booklet, and I'm going to zoom out for that. And I am going to brush off these little crumbs so they don't get ink where I don't want them. And I'm going to set my little embellishments that I stamped and die cut. That was a memory box die, and this is just a scrap of pattern paper that I stamped with a plaid stamp and just die cut. That was the same memory box set. If you want to know how I stamped the plaid, then leave a comment and let me know, and I could do a little quick tutorial on that as well. Okay, so what we have here is our pad that's all glued, and I noticed one side looks neater, so I'll just make that the top side. And then we've got our little chipboard backing, which is black, so that looks kind of nice. And we're also going to need some pattern paper to make our cover with. I like this color, and it's got a subtle music pattern on it, even though it's kind of going the wrong way. Well, it's totally going the wrong way. I like the texture and I like the color of it, so I'm going to use it. Of course, you can use whatever you want. So the next thing I'm going to do is fold this so that I have it a little bit stronger, and I am going to fold this, I'm going to fold it right in half, and that's going to give me a really strong, actually I'm going to offset it just a little bit so I have a little bit extra of a glue area so it won't be so, so harsh. Okay, so I'm folding that down like that, and then I'm going to take my backing piece and I'm going to use that as a guide as to how wide I need my cover to be. And I'm going to just crease it. I could actually use my bone folder and go right along that just to make it a little easier to fold. And then I am going to fold that and line the edges up, because that's a really good tip anytime you want to make sure you have a nice square fold. Alright, and then I know I'm going to need about 1/2 inch for this pad of paper. Pad of paper plus a little backing, so I am just going to kind of make a little pinch there. Because remember, I'm going through 2 layers of cardstock weight pattern paper, so I definitely want to pre-score this before I go ahead and try to fold it and glue it. So I'm going to really get it with that bone folder there. So I'm going to have a really nice crisp spine. Alright, so now the other thing I want to do is I'm going to want to put a ribbon in here for closing it. And I made a little error on this, and I'll show you the mistake that I had made. I glued my ribbon behind the pad there so I could have it to tie, and then I held the cover up to it to measure it, just to make a little mark at the same place, but I had the cover on upside down, so that's why those don't match up. So I think I'll probably try going right in the middle for that, so I don't have that issue this time. And I know, I'll take a scrap. This is just an off-cut piece of paper. See, it's the same size, same width. I'm just going to take that scrap, and I will use that as a template. And that way I don't have to worry about where my ribbon's going to come out, because it will be right in the middle. So I'm just going to go in there. Actually, I'm going to keep it closed, and I am going to cut a slit right there so I have room for my ribbon to go out. I'm just going to use my paper scissors, and this is kind of awkward. I'll hold it on the other side. Holy moly, I'm all thumbs today. I basically just want to cut a little bit of a notch there. Okay, and then I'm going to put some ribbon in here, and this is kind of a pretty just red and white ribbon. I like that. So let's see, I don't need too much, probably about like that. And I'm going to snip that. This is Grossgrain ribbon, so it doesn't want to fray, which is nice. So you shouldn't have to like use fray check, but you could if you're worried about that. And I'm going to glue this inside. Because see, our cover, ooh, that's hot. The cover is going to be double thickness, so it will be extra durable. So I'm just going to put some glue here and close that down, smooth it out. Cardstock's pretty easy to work with. It's a thicker, so you don't burn yourself as easily, which is nice. And then I'm going to do a little on the spine. I'm going to make sure I'm gluing it while it's holding its 3-dimensional shape, so that I don't end up with a cover that's too stiff when I go to put it on. And then I'm going to do a little bead right there. Okay, and again, try to keep it kind of folded so that it holds its shape. And then I want to make a little loop for my pencil or pen. So I'm just cutting off about a 3-inch piece of this ribbon, which is again a Grossgrain ribbon, so it should be very durable. And I am going to glue that. I'm going to glue this one up a little bit higher, because I think that if you're using a pen, you'd want it a little higher so you could catch the little pocket finger latch, whatchamacallit thing in there. Oh, and so I'm going to go ahead and glue that in like that. And then why don't I just put a pencil in there just to make sure I have enough room. Oh yeah. I think a pen would probably be better actually, just because I think a pencil will might slip out. I have to put a stopper or something at the bottom. Put that there. And then when you're gluing the pad in, you're going to want to just put a little glue at the top first, and then you can glue that whole back sheet down if you want to, but it can be difficult with hot glue to get everything lined up perfectly, because you want it lined up on the top and on the side. There we go. That's pretty good. And then if you want, you can go in here and add a little bit more glue just to seal down that back page. There. I mean, if you wanted even a more stable pad, you could have, instead of doing that top edge like we did, you could have done one of the edges, and that would have given you a more secure pad, but this should be fine for like a teacher's list or something. All right, now we want to put a ribbon on the back side so we can tie our notebook closed if we want. We want the ribbon to be face down while we're working on it. I'm just going to put a little dab of glue there. I should have done this before I put the pad down, but I forgot. So let's just trap that in like that. I could have had it go on the back side, but I think this looks a little bit neater. And now we can glue this in like that. So I want a little bit of glue on the paper here, just on this edge. Right along here. And then this is going to go right in here, and we want to line it up as good as we can so that it looks nice and neat. Okay. Now we can decorate this. And I'm going to use a piece of this ribbon because I think it's nice to keep using the same motif over and over again. I want to make sure I get a really straight cut, so I'm using my ribbon scissors. I'm just going to cut straight across to there. And I'm just gluing it down. And again, Grossgrain ribbon doesn't want to fray, so that's really nice. Just be careful. It is a little, you know, this is hot. It's glue, hot glue. And then I'm going to trim this down here flush with my cover. Can you see that? There we go. And let's see, I want a strip of the red ribbon as well because I like that. It's pretty stuff. You can't go wrong with these colors. We'll do another little bead of glue there. It's a good idea if you can, unless of course you're working with scraps, to work off the spool of your ribbon. That way you can, you're not guessing and making a mistake and then having wasted ribbon. Although if you do make a mistake and you cut your ribbon too short, you can kind of cut it in half and tuck the ends under an embellishment so you can't really see that you misjudged your ribbon. I actually did it on the other one, so I know it works. I'm going to put that there. I really think that's pretty. I like stamping on pattern paper because it just gives it a whole other dimension. And plus, if the pattern paper isn't that awesome, you give it a whole new life. It's just kind of meh, like it's not offensive, but it's just not that exciting. It just gives it a whole other lease on life, and I really like that. Because, you know, if you can give new life to something you already have, then it gets used, then you don't feel bad about it, and then you get to spend your money on other things that you have really been wanting. So down here, I want to actually glue this because it's got lots of little pieces. I want to glue this with some glue in a fine tip bottle. This is just Mod Podge in a fine tip applicator, and these little bottles I got, these are from Tilly's Bridge, which is a shop on Zibbit. You could also save fine tip applicator bottles. If you get a product in a fine tip applicator bottle, you could always save it and try to clean it out and reuse it. That's a good idea. And I'm going to put that little apple on top of that. You could also put a monogram there. That would be really pretty with a letter sticker if you know your child's teacher's name already. You could do like their last name, like the first letter of their last name, like a monogram. And that hot glue will also keep that in place while it's drying. And now, I'm a big fan of buttons. Some people tell me that they don't like it when I put buttons on things because they think it looks dated, but I say if it's your thing, you don't have to put buttons on it. I like buttons, I'm putting buttons. I've got enough buttons to choke a horse in my stash, so I might as well use them. I like them. Let's see, I feel like I like to have 3 different sizes just because it's, it just gives it gives kind of a nice scale to things. There, I like that. And oh, something I like to do is add the natural back in, natural colors back in, and I have this twine. Actually, this is like a hemp for jewelry makers, and it's actually really scratchy. I don't like to make jewelry with it because it's uncomfortable, but I love it for card making because it's so fine that I can actually put it right through a button without having to thread a needle or anything. So you can't do that with embroidery floss very well. So I like that, or baker's twine for that matter. It can be a little more tricky to thread. So I like to use that. You can do that to all your buttons or just one if you want. Or none, up to you. Use what you have. And I think I'll crisscross this one because I like that too. I like the look of like the crisscross stitched on buttons. Call me dated, but I like it. You could put enamel dots on here if you didn't want to use buttons or stickers or nothing. It's paper flowers, whatever you want to do. This crafting is about being an individual and doing your own thing, and sure, get an idea from my video, but do what you want to do. You may love this project, but you might not have any little children in school, so you might not need an apple motif, but do it with roses. Do it with grape leaves, and make a little list for your make a little list pad for groceries or your wine club or whatever it is that you enjoy doing, and have fun with it. So here's our finished little notepad. I just adore these. I think they're so cute and so useful. You can put our little pen or a pencil in here, and a nice little, this is good, a nice tip there that acts the mistake I made with the hot glue, that actually gives it a little bit of a rubber stopper and keeps my pencil from falling out, so I like that. So you might actually want to do that. A great way to put non-skid element on something. And then I'm just going to tie these and see if I need to trim them at all. Tie them in a bow. These are so pretty. And really, I mean, it didn't take that much ribbon. You may have some ends of spools or some scraps you want to use up. I think these would be really great to make for craft fairs or bazaars, and you totally have my permission to do that. As with everything on my channel, I'm all about sharing. But that's just a fun little notepad, and easy to make, inexpensive. And you can even make them smaller and put post-it notes in them, or go buy pre-made notepads at your local discount store and make your little covers to match those if you don't feel like making your own pads, although they are super duper easy. I hope you enjoyed this project today, and I hope you check out our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com. Don't forget to use the coupon code TEACHER so you can get this cute little apple stamp with your purchase of $25 or more. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.